and welcome to Columbia Close Up, giving you a close-up look at some of our community's leaders and organizations. Today we have with us Langston Moore, who is here to tell us about Eat2Win. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, first of all, Langston, Mr. Moore, tell us about you and your background in football for some of our viewers who may not be familiar.
Absolutely. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina originally, and I had the privilege to come up here and play a little bit of football at South Carolina before we had a good bit of the success we have. I was here with the old regime with Coach Holtz, Lou Holtz, and from then on went on to play in the NFL for about 7 years and bounced around. I joked with the people and tell them I played for whoever was losing. So I've been in cities from Detroit, Cincinnati, Arizona, so football has taken me across the country, but one of the big things that kind of stood out to me while we was traveling around the country and doing so much community work was just the same kind of systemic problems across the board for everybody. A lot of problems with diet, obesity, and things like that. So we kind of try to leverage all of that stuff and use football as a draw to kind of create Eat2Win.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Eat2Win, now that we know that you're a member of the Gamecock Nation,
absolutely.
Tell us about Eat2Win. What is it? How did it start? How long have you been doing it?
Absolutely. Well, Eat2Win, basically Eat2Win is an acronym. It's kind of some football jargon, but stands for effort, attitude, and technique, and win is just what's important now. And that's something that I kind of hung my hat on in life. That's something we all kind of learned at South Carolina with Coach Holtz. Win was what's important now, and it was one of those deals we used to kind of compartmentalize our life and try to really keep us focused. And we try to take those tools and give them back to the kids, but we play on that kind of moniker too of eating to win, because a lot of the guys, just from my experience, I lost my father at an early age to congestive heart failure. He was a bigger man. The same problems are with a lot of the guys I used to play with. They retire, they play football, and then they're still as big as they were, 20, 30 years ago, and they have health problems. So we kind of used all that as kind of a leverage point to get everybody together, get a whole wealth of resources together, and get folks out there talking about nutrition, talking about the healthy eating aspects, getting tested, doing everything you can to try to make yourself as optimal as you can to have a great, healthy life. Because again, I tell these kids, it doesn't matter if you went to school for so many years or you go in the NFL, if you're dying at an early age, like a lot of these young guys are, it does you no good. All that success was for naught. So we try to use a lot of that and use our own kind of personal stories to really get guys engaged, to get out in the community and share these stories. Okay.
And you had an interesting point about even, I guess, well-trained athletes
Absolutely.
Have to be very careful about health and eating and exercise, even beyond their, I guess, like athletic years when they're like playing full time.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of these guys, they think, I've been running and playing football for the last 20 years, running into guys, I can kind of just stop and kind of coast, and that's kind of the wrong thing to do, because just leaving football, you have a wealth of injuries and just a wealth of problems just from it's such a violent game. So if they kind of continue the same strict eating habits, did the things that really help them with their performance, it would help in their own personal lives day to day. And we find that when we go out into the communities with a lot of kids. My mother was a teacher for 20 plus years. She died early because of stomach cancer. But even so within schools with behavioral problems, we know kids who have a low sugar diet have less behavioral problems. With the rise of medication within the schools with ADD, ADHD, a lot of that can be kind of curbed with change in diet and change of just more physical activity. We know with the improvement and everything with the internet, kids are bombarded with just sitting inside. They're always on their phone, engaged on their phone. Nobody's outside playing anymore.
Playing video games.
Yeah, so we always want to use sports and all these different things to try to get these kids back out in the streets. And again, the NFL does a great job with their Play 60 program, of course, with the Let's Move program you guys put on. So it's just really about kind of getting everybody collectively together, working in the same direction, and everybody using the resources to really impact the community.
Okay. It sounds like both of your parents were really inspirations to you.
Absolutely.
And sort of like your personal heroes and mentors. Were they the catalyst for you actually starting this Eat2Win? I guess what were some of the reasons that you felt like you wanted to give back to the community and pay it forward?
Well, one of the reasons, just because I tell people all the time, I had two parents growing up, and I was lucky to have two parents, but I still needed my whole community, my Charleston area family to kind of kick me in the tail sometime and say, you need to do this. Eyes were always on me. So it's kind of a debt I feel I always have to pay that can't be repaid, which is good because it always gives me something to work towards and kind of help the community that made me. a lot of my partners that went to South Carolina who kind of helped me work behind the scenes. Preston Thorne, John Austin, a lot of folks, they played in the NFL and do very well. They lost their parents or have somebody within their family that either is affected by diabetes, obesity. Preston, he lost his father at an early age before he came to Carolina. All of us lost a teammate by the name of Jamacia Jackson. He had congestive heart failure and died in his sleep. Obviously, he was a very healthy human being, but maybe just lack of testing. You know, he didn't know that he actually had this kind of ticking time bomb going on inside of him. So we try to use all of that to encourage people to say, you know, nobody is immune to the ways of the world, the things that can happen to you. So we really try to get these kids out there and show them, you know, just because you see LeBron on the TV, you know, promoting McDonald's hamburgers, I guarantee you he's not eating that. He's drinking that kale juice, he's doing all the things he needs to do just for performance, but also just to feel good. And it's all about quality of life for a lot of guys. So we really try to use football as a draw to get out there and really pound that information to these kids' heads, but also the parents as well.
Okay, and it sounds like you have other professional athletes involved as well, which is great.
Yes.
Do you think that plays a very significant role or a big role in getting the attention of kids and holding their attention and delivering that message?
Absolutely. I mean, kids love sports, but what we kind of use as a draw too, the parents will want to come out there and watch. So that's why we kind of took the stance of getting the parents tested using Palmetto Health to come out there and really get these kids and get the parents engaged, because we've tried the old model of parents giving the information to the parents give it to the kids, and that works with some success. But we found just going out in the community from going across the country that the more we kind of empower the kids and show them that, hey, you hold the parents accountable. You know, Mom, I don't want to go to McDonald's every night, even though I know it's late, we're running behind. Let's try to do something else. Let's try to plan accordingly. And the kids start holding the parents accountable, and the parents start rising to the occasion. So those are some of the tools we kind of use, just besides getting the football guys to get out there and engage with the parents, because the parents, you know, they want to see, you know, who's this guy? They want to see who Ryan Brewer is. They want to see who all these old football guys are. So that's a great little catalyst to get them out there and get them engaged and do some educational teaching with them too.
Now, Langston, tell us, what will you and the Eat2Win team be doing at the City of Columbia's Let's Move Columbia End of School Bash on May 31st in the Drew Park Green Space?
Well, we want to get a lot of our guys out here. There's a great wealth of guys who live here who are from Columbia, from South Carolina. They've retired in this area. So we want to get them out in the community, get them involved, and let folks know what they're doing, but also get them engaged with the community with the athletic component of it. We'll be doing some drills. We'll be doing some heads-up drills about focusing on concussions. That's another thing we'll do at the camp. We all know that football is a great sport, but it also is a dangerous sport if it's played the wrong way. So we'll work on that. We'll work on some fitness movement deals, some stuff we do daily, even just a daily regimen that you can do, you know, 20 to 30 minutes to just get moving around to keep your body kind of lubricated. You know, our old motto is motion is lotion. You know, the more you kind of sit still, the more your body kind of gets tight on you. So we really want to focus on that. We'll have out some other giveaways. We'll try to give away a few slots for the camp to sponsor some families as well. But it'll be just a good fun time. Hopefully we can give folks a kind of snapshot of what we'll be doing at Eat2Win on June 10th.
Okay. And speaking of June 10th, that's an excellent segue. We can transition. Tell us about what is happening on June 10th.
Well, what'll happen on June 10th, we'll be doing it at the Charlie Johnson Stadium. Charlie is a great ambassador. You know, everybody knows Charlie's story. He played football and had a lot of success, and had success off the field, and donated a large sum of money to Benedict and made it possible for us to use that facility. And so we get out there, we'll have one side of it will be basically all health screenings provided by Palmetto Health. We'll be doing diabetes, obesity, vision testing, endoscopy consults. We'll have Dennis and Dingle out there doing dental consultations. So we'll have a whole wealth of resources for folks, but we'll also be doing nutritional assessments. We'll be showing folks, you know, so many kids during the summertime, they live out the corner store. You know, your mom is gone at work. So we're trying to give kids options. You know, instead of going to the corner store getting a juice with so much sugar and some chips, maybe you can get some nuts, piece of fruit, and some water. Again, we know how realistic that is. Myself, it's hard when I go into the grocery store myself. So
to resist that temptation.
We try to give them the same kind of spiel that they give us in the NFL. And that's our whole motto, is that, you know, we've had so many resources as ex-football players, ex-NFL pro guys, that there's no reason why kids should have to go pro to get those resources. So we take a lot of that back to the community and show them that, hey, just making a few little decisions, moving 20 to 30 minutes a day, just having fun, being active can ultimately change your lifestyle, can change the financial impact it'll have on your family, just a whole array of things.
Okay. Now, I know on May 31st, that's an open event. That's the
Absolutely.
City of Columbia.
Absolutely.
But what steps do parents need to take in order to register their child for your Eat2Win? Is it a camp? Is it Eat2Win football camp? Or is that,
Absolutely.
okay. What do they need to do to actually get their child registered for June 10th?
Well, you can register obviously at the end of school bash. We'll have a registration table set up, but we also are engaged on social media, and we have a website. It's Eat2Win camp.eventbrite.com.
Okay.
And if that's too much for you, you can just Google Eat2Win and it'll pop up. And we'll have posters, we'll have in-store signings. Academy Sports is one of our huge sponsors. We'll be giving a lot of giveaways from Academy Sports, but we'll also do some in-store signing as well. We just have so much support from the community. A lot of it, what we'll be doing, we'll be getting resources from various restaurants and companies. Earth Fare, they have a tremendous family night where you can feed up to 6-7 kids for $6.99. So if you're
okay.
a single parent with 2 or 3 kids, you can go out there and get a high quality meal, but a lot of folks don't know about that. So we really want to highlight a lot of these resources that are accessible to folks in Richland County and Columbia area to let them know that there are options out there just besides what you think there are.
Okay, all right. And what's the age range? If you want to register your child, is there a cutoff? Too young, or is there a cutoff as far as when you get into the teen years?
Our cutoff, we go from 7 to 17. So
Okay.
we have it split up. We have a division where we take the little kids away from the big kids, obviously. We work the big kids a lot harder just because they can handle it. And we really like to push them and really show them what it's like to be a professional athlete. A lot of these kids think they can, I can just show up and make any team, but we want to show them there's a consistent amount of work that takes place, and consistently you have to do this day in and out. So we give them a nice snapshot. With the younger kids, we'll engage them with different activities as far as just fitness routines, a lot of the heads up tackling, concussion stuff to keep them safe when they're out there playing.
Okay.
And of course, we'll engage them with various folks from the community, the police department. We'll have the fire trucks out there. Because again, we really want to make sure that's a strong tie as well, because there's always such a kind of a stigma in the community that our community doesn't want to work with the police and different things. So we always want to cultivate that relationship and let these folks know, we want everybody to be safe and we can work together and try to do that with our community.
And on behalf of the city, we appreciate that partnership.
Absolutely.
Because as many times as we can sort of put our police officers and firefighters in front of kids and engage them, then they get that sense of, who they are, and they're here to protect them and protect the community.
You're absolutely right.
Appreciate that.
Because a lot of times, when the police or the fire department come up, it's usually in a bad situation or a situation where somebody's sick or hurt, and there's really not a great relationship. But if we can at least kind of foster that and the kids know, this is Chief so-and-so, I've seen him before at the camp, he's a good guy, I can talk to him, there's a resource. It's all just about really leveraging the resources here in the community and letting these kids know they're not alone.
Okay. Now, what about us girls? Because I know the focus is on football, but there may be some girls out there or parents out there who are listening who are saying, well, this is great, for my boys, but I have a daughter, I have daughters, and I'd love for them to still get that same health message and get the exposure to some of the professional athletes and hear about the consistency with training and the dedication, because really you're actually teaching a lot more than the physical fitness and the health message, but it's about training and what it takes to make it as an athlete, what it takes to be consistent.
Absolutely. Well, we have girls come out that we don't have any problem with them coming out, just as long as mom understands. We're going to take care of them, but we want them to be engaged just as if it was the boys. Just before we actually kind of constructed the Eat2Win camp 2 years ago, we'll go around, as a kind of a group, we went around to Greenville, Spartanburg, and worked in all these guys' different little hometowns. And there's a good showing of young girls who come out down in Charleston, in my hometown. We have usually about 10 to 20 young ladies come out, and they give it to the boys, so I like seeing that. But again, that's one thing. We don't want to deter anybody. This is open to everybody, even though there is kind of a stigma. Folks say, girls can't play football, but we open it up to everybody. And that's one thing we want to go forward, because our big mission with the Eat2Win camp is to be consistent and to retain a lot of these kids, because that's really also a big problem within the communities, is that folks come in, extract a lot of resources, the kids, money from our communities, but they really don't come back and give back. So we want to be a consistent presence here for not for the next 2 years, but for the next 20 years for a lot of these kids.
Okay.
So having these girls come out, having them be a part of it, we want to develop more programs with them, getting more and more folks. Hopefully we can call on Don Staley and some other folks from South Carolina to come out there, because there's such a, they garner a lot of respect in the community, and folks will listen to them. And so I think it's very important that we get everybody involved. That's why we try to include the parents, kids and boys and girls.
Okay, and I know you said that you've been doing this. You said 2 years. This is like the second year.
Yeah, this is the
for
second
camp
year here in
Eat2Win?
Columbia, but this is kind of collectively, when I kind of retired from playing in the NFL, nobody from our Carolina kind of sect really was doing anything in our community. So, I was the one with no kids. I said, all right, guys, I'll be the one to kind of organize it. We'll come together, we'll pull our guys together, and it's been great. We all support each other, and that's a great deal. But, for us to not have something here in our backyard where we've all played football, we spend a good majority of our time here to give something back. I think it's important that we do that.
Well, we're glad you brought it to Columbia because I heard you mention the upstate, and of course, you're from Charleston, so I'm sure there's a low country camp in Charleston. So we're just so very excited that you've actually brought this camp to Columbia. And I know that you want lots of kids out there. I know that there's, for some who can actually afford it, there's a registration fee, but then for those who perhaps cannot afford the registration fee, are scholarships available or sponsorships for kids who maybe want to participate, but they cannot afford the actual registration fee?
And we do offer scholarships for a great group of kids. We go out there. That's the other great part about being from around this area and having some popularity. We're able to call on a lot of great businesses to support us and support these areas and these families. So we'll try to support as many kids as we can from the Colony Housing Projects, from Gonzalez Gardens, but just from around Richland County, period. Just because, again, a lot of kids have athletic ability, have talent, but they don't have a ride or the resources to go to a Steve Spurrier camp or a Dabo Swinney camp or even just maybe a smaller camp in Newberry. It's just kind of impossible for them to do that, even if you have a parent that's working full time. So that's why we try to make this as centrally located as possible, figure out a way to get these kids a ride, do whatever we need to do to get these kids out there so they can see, oh, that's so-and-so. They can see different tangibles, examples of success. So that's really what our push is. We always know that just with the Carolina family, we'll have a great showing from all the kids that we got from Gamecock Nation. They'll come out there. But again, we also want to expose the families that may never ever get a chance to step inside of Williams-Brice Stadium. So that's why we always try to put it in a great setting, Charlie Johnson Stadium, to get these kids immersed in an atmosphere they're not used to.
Okay. Well, it's an excellent program. We're glad you're here in Columbia.
Yes,
very happy that you've been partnering this year with the City of Columbia and, of course, with Let's Move Columbia. And we wish you much success.
Absolutely.
Repeat the, website address again in case folks didn't catch that. And we'll also have it, up on our screen for everyone to actually read it off. But if you want to share that, and if you've got a Facebook page
Absolutely.
or Twitter or ways that folks can follow you.
Yeah, of course, we're on Twitter at Eat2Win. We're on Facebook, same deal, Eat2Win. And our website to get tickets or just get more information about our list of coaches who will be there, it's www.eat2wincamp.eventbrite.com.
All right.
And if that's too much, just Google. Thank goodness for Google, right?
And if all of that's too much, feel free to call the City of Columbia
Absolutely.
at our Public Relations Department at 545-3020, and we will also try our best to make sure that we have this information on the city's website at columbiasc.net. Again, thank you for joining us for Columbia Close Up as we took a very up close and personal look at Eat2Win.